Hi guys. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to join. I know that it is 4th of July. I saw that Amanda had a bunch of questions, and I got some outtakes written and got the chapter started, and just have an hour before my son wakes up, and thought I would get on here and chat with you guys. Give you guys a little bit, we chatted a little earlier this week, but I like talking to you guys, so I thought, why not join you guys and see if anybody had any questions. I know Amanda has a lot of questions, but I also know it's 4th of July, and I don't know if she's going to be able to join. So we shall see who is able to join. I see 2 of you. I just don't know who you are. It's one thing that's hard, like the YouTube doesn't tell me who you are. Oh, it's Ramonza. Hi. Happy 4th of July, you guys. Hope you guys are having fun with your family and everything. But it might just be you and me, Ramonza. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to get on and join today. I'm sure lots of people are with their family and having fun. I have questions. Well, hit me. It's you and me. Let's go. Ask all your questions. Happy 4th. Amanda's here. Hi. I am doing this because I saw you had a lot of questions, and I love chatting with you guys. And I was like, well, there are questions, so I'll just go ahead and join on here. So you and Ramonza, let's go. Questions, guys. But yeah, I wrote an outtake. Wrote 2 today, and really still liking this. Was Rachel? What? Do you mean Raphael? Raphael's mate is in book 2. We first hear about her in book 2. Amanda is pulling up her notes. Let's go. I am ready for your questions. But Raphael's mate was in book 2. At first. So yeah. The other thing, his wing, his wing is in book 2. The other thing is I loved today's outtake. I loved writing today's outtake, and I posted this on Facebook too. I actually wrote an outline for Harold and Tabitha in the Raised to Cura reality after writing that outtake, because I just really like her so much. Like, I liked her before. I'd always had a plan for her. But I think I mentioned in, I think, book 1, there's a reality where Harold's mated with Tessa. And I think when I go through and edit that, I'm going to change it to Tabitha, because I just really like them together. So, hi, Andrea. I just really like them together. So, yeah. Do Ted and Matt use the same fairy and Joni for their kids? Yes, all their kids, all of Matt's kids are with Joni, and all of Ted's kids are with his fairy. Will Joni get a second chance mate? We will see what happens with Joni a little bit. She really likes her life right now. She dates around, and now she's going to have these kids with Matt, and they're going to be the future beta line of the pack. So she actually really likes her life. She hangs out with her friends. She dates. She likes being a warrior. So now she's going to be a mom. She really loved her first mate a lot. I mean, it was her mate. She loved him. And she's not really ready to move on. I don't know if she's ever going to be, because she's got this other part of her life now that's fulfilling that for her. And it's not like she doesn't date and go out. She does do all that. But yeah, we will just see. Will Beta Matt become Beta Maddie soon, since we have Oscar? So the vast majority of people are going to still call him Beta Matt. You have Dylan calling him Beta Maddie. It's kind of a joke. So other people would say it jokingly to Beta Matt. But I mean, Dylan is forever going to call him Beta Maddie, and so is Oscar. So you'll still have people calling him that. And like when they first meet people, they'll be like, "Oh, it's Beta Maddie, sorry," and he'll be like, "No, it's Matt." Have we met Javi's mate? We have not. He has a mate. We have not heard about them. All of Haley's guards have mates. We just haven't. We've only met Thomas's and Blade's. So, do we know Tabitha's mate in the OG? We do. We do know Tabitha's mate in the OG. So, since you've read the outtake, you know that her dad gave her money to leave if she was Al's mate. Well, after their confrontation happened, in their reality, Harold and Darren still show up because they are there and they hear this confrontation going down. Harold's already made it to Jessica at that point. There's nothing between him and Tabitha in the original reality, but they do cause a distraction long enough for her to get away. So she leaves and she goes to travel like she always wanted to, but we have met Tabitha's mate. So we do know who it is. And our favorite Beta loves this person and specifically loves his name. So I'm sure you all can guess who it is from that. But yes, we have met her mate. I know a bunch of people were kind of hoping like something would happen. Happy 4th, Nicole, to Jessica in the original reality, and they would be mates. To be perfectly honest, I considered that of something happening. Hi, Kimbers. Happy 4th. I considered something like that happening, but then I felt like Tabitha shouldn't have to wait this whole time to find her mate. She's just too awesome to have to sit around and wait for somebody. So while I do love her and Harold, I had, when I originally thought of her, I already had who her mate was in our original reality because I knew that Haley would, go into a reality and find her. I just decided to keep it how it was. So, do Matt and Ted ever change up the mix of kids? Like Ted with Joni or Matt with the fairy? No, they don't. So Matt stays with Joni and Ted stays with his fairy. So Ted wants his children to be able to conjure their bottles, and they're both happy with how that works out. Will Susie, Sebastian, Chris, Emma, Emmett, and the other kids be featured in the Triplets books? Yes, we'll see them all. We'll see Susie and Sebastian because Susie and Sebastian are going to be hanging out in Red Run where Elise lives. So Emma and Emmett, they're friends with EJ and Alexander, so we'll see them. How long before we see Raised Haley go into the ribbon? I wouldn't say it would be too much longer. Yeah, it's not going to be too much longer before we see her go into the ribbon. So has Isabella made Haley a cake yet in Raised to Cura? So they haven't. We're going to see them meet. I didn't really go into too much detail into Lexi and Emmeline's Luna ceremonies, and I'm just going to touch on a couple things. With Eric's chapter, Eric really didn't, their Luna ceremonies don't matter too much to him. He's a little raw right now, and he just needs to be near Haley, and I wanted to convey that with his chapters. We're going to see a little bit more of it with Haley's point of view of both of their ceremonies. So Isabella is going to meet our Haley, our Raised to Cura Haley, at Lexi's ceremony. So she has not made her a cake yet, but she's very interested to meet her. Hi, LaVon. What's up? Any other Alpha nicknames coming up soon, like Alpha Baby Daddy, Saint Alpha Prick, Alpha Ka? So that would depend on the nicknames you're talking about. Dylan has nicknames for a lot of people. In case you haven't picked it up, he calls Lucas Alpha Tyrant when he doesn't call him Lucas. Specifically, he'll call him the sleep tyrant. So our original Dylan is going to keep giving people nicknames. People are not going to have the same nicknames. It's going to get a little confusing for my own personal brain, but our Dylans in all realities love nicknames, and he gives them to people based on what's going on in his reality. So he, like you saw, he does want somebody to change Sophia to a snake so he can call her Alpha Ka. But we'll have to see what he ends up giving her a nickname as. He kind of plays on the situation of what's going on. So that's what's up with that. Hi, Faithlyn. Will you do any other books of Eric and Haley's other children? I know they have 20 children, so I don't expect you to do them all. Of course, we would love it, though. So being perfectly honest, I have outlines for all of their kids. Some of them are like Cassie's. Some of them are bigger. But yeah, there's a couple of the kids who have bigger books and a couple that aren't quite so big. I will tell you that I have a shorter one for Max and his mate. I really like them, and we see that couple form in EJ's book, and I really like them. And then one of the other kids, Preston, I have a book. I'm not sure how long it would end up being. I think it would be longer than Cassie's, but I have a book for him too. So I'm not sure how any of all that will come out, because like I said, after Alexander, I'm not sure if I'm going to jump back into a Ribbon reality, or if I'm just going to go straight into Keaton's book, Lexi and Chase's child. So not really sure where all of it comes in. I have outlines. It's so many outlines, guys. I'm just not sure what's going to come after Alexander's book, to be perfectly honest. But I do have like little outlines for all of them. They might get bigger as we hear more about them. So we'll just have to see. Ramonsa, of course I do. Yes, I do. I have so many outlines. And like I've said, I have an outline for Lexi in this reality and Emmeline in this reality, just because I love their stories so much. And then I came up with one with Tabitha and Harold's. So that's one of the things I really like about the Ribbon is it leads to so many options. There's all these little book options. And then I've still got little stories, like I have Bjorn and Astrid's, I have Marcus and Torby's, I've got Logan and Katie's, and Marabella and Tucker. Like there's just so much. So many outlines. My Google Doc is like out of control with outlines and outtakes and all sorts of things. So let's see. Does Dylan have the same issues with names and titles like the OG does, i.e. Beta McAllister getting called Ben? Yes, that actually happens in this book. Someone, Alpha Kyle, says Ben, and he's like, his name is Beta McAllister. He mostly just does it to give people crap, and because it's funny. Because he's like, that's the name you picked. That's what everybody's going to call you unless I give you a nickname. So it's kind of like he's the only one allowed to call them by not their title. That's kind of Dylan's thing. It's just because he's being funny. He truly doesn't care. He just... part of those are their serious moments, and Dylan's trying to bring some humor to that because that's what Dylan does. He tries to lighten the mood a lot. So a lot of serious stuff is going on, so he's trying to lighten all that for everybody. As often as Dylan deals with Red Run, how does Nick not have a nickname? He does. We just haven't heard him say it yet. So he got one in book 3, but Dylan hasn't told us what it is yet. So he does get one. Any chance Jessica could meet a tragic end? So I answered this a little bit earlier. So I considered that, to be honest, Jessica having an accident or something happen, and then Tabitha being Harold's second chance mate. It wasn't originally in my plan. I've always known who in our original reality her mate is. And I thought about it after I wrote that outtake. I thought about that. But I just, I didn't like having Tabitha wait that long to find her mate. I think she's awesome, and I really want her to be happy in all realities. So, no. Tabitha is mated and happy in our original reality. And I told everybody earlier, she did we know who her mate is, and Beta Dylan loves this person and his name. So we will see her again because Haley did say she was going to go find her. So we'll see her, and it'll come out who her mate in our original reality is. It's a little hard for me because I love her, and I love her and Harold. Like I said, I wrote an outline for them because I just love that outtake so much. But I just couldn't, in my own mind, justify her waiting all these years and traveling and trying to stay away from her pack and that alpha. So, yeah, she's made it in our original reality. For vampires, is their territory just the whole state versus werewolves have a smaller area? Yes. So for vampires, they have a king or queen that is over a state, and they have like lords and all sorts of other people under them managing specific territories in their state. But yes, that's different for them. Dylan is always funny. He is. When packs combine, like the Connors and the Daniels, do the packs link combine, or do they keep individual smaller ones? So they combine. They have a big pack link because they would need to be able to reach anybody that they needed to. And if, like, for example, Chase wasn't around, because Chase is the main pack, but Cameron still has his pack that he can communicate with. But if Chase wasn't around, the pack would need to reach Cameron. So they do combine a link. They have just one big thing going on. But they don't have to like listen to it all day. They can block it out and not pay attention. The only way that they can't is when they're being alerted to rogues. So is the title of king or queen just the vampire equivalent of a werewolf title of an alpha? So they vampires that are older, so they kind of treat it like a king was truly a king or a queen of like countries. England comes to mind when I say that. But they kind of treat it that way, like how older, how it was run back then. So like a true king and stuff, but it is kind of like an alpha. They rule just like they do. So if that's what you need to relate it to, I mean, that's fine. Since Haley can take power away, would she ever take power away from the Hood? Just their speed. So yeah, she could take away their speed and the talents that they have. She could do that if she wanted to. It's not something she uses very often though, because it's something that like all the goddesses and gods had to agree that she had to be pure of heart, because that is something that could corrupt you easily, being able to do that. Like you could just take over and do whatever you wanted to do. So she doesn't really tend to use it very much. But yeah, she could also like specifically, so trying to think. So like, for example, if there was an angel that was, being bad, she could take their wings, but they would still be able to do other things. She can just take one power from somebody. With wolves, she could have taken like their heightened sense of smell and stuff and left their wolf. So she does have the ability to do things like that. And we might just see things are coming in Raised to Cure, guys. It's gonna get crazy. Is Tabitha's mate Beta Bond? It is. That is who Tabitha's mate is in our original reality. Once we return to the original reality, will we meet Tabitha or see her brother again? Her brother, I don't know. I think we will, like cursorily, because the kids aren't really close with Tabitha, but Haley brings her around, like, because she can pop to California and back. And Tabitha's brother hasn't seen her since she left. So he might show up, but it wouldn't be like a focus of a scene. Yes, Bond. Yes. Tabitha's mate is Beta Bond. Is Isaiah still Heath's second in Raised to Cure? So no, because the Scots never separated. So Isaiah still has like a ranked position, but Jasper is Heath's lieutenant in Raised to Cure. They're very close in Raised to Cure because they were raised together. So those families are very close. Like it's mentioned, Haley mentioned that James is a pathological flirt, the cousin, not the dad. And Gunnar is like, well, there's a reason he doesn't flirt with you, and it's because Heath liked Haley. So that was why James didn't flirt with her, because they all respected that. So, she knows she can take a wolf away in this reality. Yes, this Haley knows all about the promised siblings and everything, because Aiden and Arian taught her. So she actually learned from them and Bexley, and so she knows all about her power. She has not used that power to take stuff away. Like she kind of mentioned a few chapters ago, like it hadn't really dawned on her that she could do it. But she knew that's why Aiden wanted her to practice with the other partial fairies. And that's why the partial fairies that have practiced with her are stronger than all the other ones. They are royals, so that does play a part. But they're stronger because of who she is, and because she wants them to do well, and she wants to call their fairy blood forward. So she kind of just had that revelation, like that she could take people's powers away, and she's a little scared of that. Mostly she's scared that somebody could convince her to turn on her family. So we saw that a little bit. Are any betas going to change in any of the realities, like a different sibling taking over instead of who we saw in the OG? Probably not. Maybe of a pack that wasn't like super integral to the story, I might change those. But no, I feel like we've established a lot of them in their roles and who they are. So I think that's probably going to stay the same. Since Lexi's parents didn't die and raise Sakura, do they end up having more kids? No, they only had Lexi and Heath. So they had a boy and a girl, and her mom didn't want to have any more kids, so they're done having kids. So seeing things changed with the troll in this reality, what happened to him? Was he even born? Seeing as he is... Okay, yes, that was actually answered in a recent chapter of what happened to Noah. I think Matt explains that Ted told him that when they went to go kill Hanson, Betty... when she found out, Betty/Denise, when she found out he was dead, she went to their like family's lake house and drowned herself and Noah. Like that just came out in the books. So after getting in his headspace, he had to die in this reality, guys. I was not about to deal with him. So that's why he's dead. What is the Hood's lifespan on average? So they're longer than humans. They can live like a little over 100 years old. Obviously that's different now that they have a fairy. Are there Hood/Shrouds in other states? Yeah, there are. They're not quite as common as werewolves. Like werewolves are all throughout the state as are vampires, but there are other Shrouds and other Hoods going on. They're just not as common. That's why it wasn't really like when we first introduced them and they ran away, like Cameron and Chase were like, they're fast. Who are they? They're not super common, so that people like know a bunch about them. The people in Tennessee knew that Heath Scott was their leader, but we kind of see Chase piece together that he's also the Hood. So there, not a lot is known about them because there's not too many of them. Happy 4th, Marnie. Lucia, oh, don't worry about it. There's so much information, I feel like, that gets dropped casually in chapters. Sometimes I'm like, they might not notice this. Like, I was actually, in the recent chapters, I was waiting for people to catch on that we're not Patreons, that I kind of laid it out there that Lonnie might not have died as peacefully as we thought in book 1. And it actually took people a second. I was like, what's happening? I like kept checking the comments. I was like, no one has noticed. But what was Lexi's dad's moniker when he was taking missions? We don't know that yet. So that's actually something that I have in Lexi's outline for her book in this reality. So I'm not going to tell you guys what his moniker is, because one day we will get to it. That's why we read each book. Happy 4th, Lucia. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Is Nathan Connors learning Faelish and Latin in all realities? Yes, he is. So actually, he knows Faelish and Latin in this current reality that we're in. He's learning in our original reality, but he knows Faelish and Latin in this reality. So Did you change the gender of Sally and Derek's baby? I thought I read they had a girl in this reality. In this reality, they haven't had a kid yet. They just met. So Derek and Sally have a lot of kids. They do have girls and boys. But no, I didn't change the gender of their baby. So they have a boy in our original reality that we know of so far. They obviously have other kids because we saw her vision. They had a lot of kids, and she's always wanted a lot of kids. But in this reality, they haven't had a baby yet. I guess I was dreaming about your books. It's possible. I dream about them. Don't feel bad about that. But yeah, and Raised to Cura, that's the one I'm talking about. If there's a typo somewhere in Lexi's book, that's possible. But in Raised to Cura, they have not had a child yet. Lexi's cousin James didn't find his mate in the book that we saw, but does he find it in the triplet book? So he's actually found his mate by the end of Lexi's book. We just didn't talk about it. So a lot of the Hood found their string when they combined the Strouds. So James didn't find his right away, but he does find his string. So at the end of Lexi's book, he had found his string. We just, like I said, we didn't cover that. I had a couple of different ways for Lexi's book to end, and I went with this to set up kind of the readers knowing that the ring is much larger than anticipated, and how much they truly want Haley back in it. So, and not just Haley. Now it's the kids too. So, any fairy Hood mates coming up soon in Raised to Cura or OG? Super fast popping babies seem like a dream for Dylan. So a lot of the fairies are mostly with fairies, but there is some of that coming up. There is one couple that I know of right now. So. Are the race leaders, Hood, Hakira, and fairies always pure blood? No, because we're about to see fairies tend to be other fairies, because most fairies are mated with fairies. Like it's the partials that are being mated with other people. We're about to see some others that are full-blooded that don't have a fairy mate, but that's rare for them. The Hakura, they're mostly mated with others. It doesn't have to be, but Haley is the only one without, and Logan are the only ones without Hakura mates. But like Astrid and Bjorn are both Hakura. So we'll just have to see what happens with their oldest son. But the Hood, no, because Heath was mated with Sophia and Danny. Danny was human, and their kids would have ruled, and then Sophia was a wolf, and their kid would have had a couple kids, and they would have to decide which one wanted to do what. But no, they didn't have to be. You told us that the Hakura can't have a human hybrid because it's too much for their human side to handle. So no, the royal Hakura family can't have a child with a human. The other ones do and have half human, half Hakura children. It's the royal family that does not. Are there any other races that would not handle a Hakura half well? An angel would be an interesting combination of Hakura and angel, because you have your blood that's the protector of the realm, but you also have like this totally pure side. So that would be a very interesting dichotomy to me. Same with part angel, part demon. I don't currently have any of those planned, but it's an intriguing thought. You can't leave us hanging with that. We have to know. What do you have to know? I think I saw this comment out of turn. Tell me what you need to know, Ramonsa. Does Nathan Calvert exist in Raised Hakura? Yeah, he does. He exists. He was raised by Lizzie and Edgar in this one, because she got him back pretty quickly, because they went and got Hanson and he died. James's string. Oh, I can't tell you his string. Okay. I don't even think we met her in Lexi's book. She's just a character that I have, that I know that he's with her. So I don't think it's a huge revelation. I'll have to go back and look and see if I mentioned her offhand in Lexi's book, but I don't think I did. Do other Haley's children's wolves have unique marking like the triplets? They'll all have some sort of uniqueness to them. They'll all have black in them, because alphas are black. But like some of them will be pure black like EJ. So we'll just see. They all have little things about them. What am I doing for the 4th today? Well, I took my son to the park and sweated my ass off because it was so hot outside, guys. And then later, I think we're just going to go around to Target with him and kind of just hanging out with my family and playing with my son. So that's really my plans for today. Baby wolves, like Irish wolfhound size. I imagine baby wolves just like baby wolves. And it's interesting for the packs because like the fairies are the ones that they've never really seen actual like pups in the packs, because usually they're more like teenage regular size wolves. Like Eric's wolf grew with him as he got older, and he was fully matured at 18. But they kind of see more like mid-size. I would say the Irish wolfhounds are kind of like how they start out when they shift at 16. But the pups are truly like if you Google like a wolf and its pup, that's like the pup size in my mind for theirs right now. We're just going to shoot off big fireworks and try to stay out of trouble. Hey, you go for that. Everybody stay out of trouble. Stay safe. Be responsible with all the fireworks, guys. I don't want anybody getting hurt. But yeah, do the older alphas become gray as they age? Dylan would have a field day. No, I actually hadn't thought of that, but he would. That would be funny. That's actually, like, now that you say that, that's sparking like an outtake in my mind of Dylan convincing the fairies to turn some of the older wolves gray so they freak out and enjoy a prank. That would be kind of funny. Yeah, I think that would be a really funny outtake. I'm going to put that on my list right now, you guys. Let's go. Fairy Dylan prank turning. Fairy Dylan prank turning wolves gray. Okay, on the list. Okay. Will we have a point of view from just Thor? Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't have a plan for that. That would be interesting. We kind of got that in the first book when he took over for Eric for that point of time, and Eric just needed a minute because he'd found out not only was his mate taken, she was shot up with iron and was pregnant, and he just needed a second. So we kind of got a little bit of Thor there. Bexley would do it. Oh, any of the fairies would do it for him. All the fairies love fun. Emmeline would do it. Oscar would do it. Haley would absolutely love to do it, but Bexley would do it too. Idell would do it. All the fairies would do it. Does the wolf remember other wolves it knew in a past life? Like Thor will remember Fang when they both get into humans. Yeah, all the wolves know who the other ones are. They do remember that. They remember their past humans. They remember all that kind of stuff. What's going on with Dylan's parents in this reality? I know they're still chasing the white wolf, but how much will change? That's not going to change. They are chasing the white wolf. So for them, they might come back a little bit sooner, and they might not come back with as much information because Lacey isn't going to run away in this one. So her and Dylan they already know their mates, but when she turns 18, her wolf's going to be like, yep, we're right. So they might have kids sooner here in this reality. But right now, they're following their same storyline from the original, and they'll follow them in the other ones too, because they just are. Idell should be the one to do it because they wouldn't suspect her. That's true. They wouldn't. They would not suspect her. Although they wouldn't suspect Bexley because the Blue Moon Pack hasn't really seen Bexley that much. They don't really know. They know she's mischievous because she's a fairy, but she's kind of been off doing her own thing with Liam and her daughters. Does the wolf past life affect in the next? Like, will Bull remember being pink in his next life and try to keep from upsetting fairies, or will Fang like fairies? So, yeah, they are going to remember that. So, yeah, Bolt will remember that you don't get involved in fairy hijinks, and Fang will remember that fairies are a lot of fun, and he has a lot of fun with them. So it might be something he encourages his next human to have, but they're not going to get. So, like, normally they get humans quicker, but I mean, this group they're going to be with these group for a long time. So, also, will Thor always be Thor now, or Duke with his next human? He's going to keep Thor. He likes the name, and like I said, he's had several other humans, and he's always taken a chosen mate. Haley is his first fated mate. So she has a special place with him. So he'll always be Thor moving forward. Will Jackie still be Travis's mate? Yes. I like Jackie and Travis together. So they'll still be together. Will we see any betas be female in Raised Sakura or OG soon? So, yeah, we've seen some betas have some girls. It really depends on who their mate is, because the betas are interesting because they have a beta female. Like, nobody cares about that, and like Ted's kind of changing the course, being the beta male. It really just depends on who their mate is. So like if Idell and James, they have a girl first. Well, she would be in line to be the beta, but if she was mated to an alpha, she would probably move to the pack. They would have to talk about that and discuss that. But if she was mated to somebody in their pack, or the son of, like, say Dylan and Lacey have more kids, and they end up being, they wouldn't be with okay, that's not a good example. Beta Bond and Tabitha have 2 sons, and their second son is the mate of Idell and James's daughter, then he would move to her pack to do that. So it really just depends on the conversations and their rank within the pack, who moves where and does what. When werewolves die, where do the werewolf spirits go? They go back to the goddess, and they're kind of in the beyond, just waiting for their new human or somebody to turn 16. They kind of have a fast turnaround. So they're just in like a spirit waiting period until they're sent back by the moon goddess. Who is going to be EJ's beta, Jim or Nick, or one of their kids? So they have an interesting situation going on. So EJ's beta, Nick is more into the warrior and Jim is more into the beta, but Jim takes over for Caleb because Caleb wants to spend time with Tabby. So Jim is Eric's beta here. By the end of Lexi's book, they still call him Beta Caleb. Caleb will still do stuff, but he's mostly sitting back now and spending time with his youngest daughter. And so Jim's kind of taking over that role. EJ's beta is going to be Nick's son with Emily. And Jim and Miley's son is Alexander's. So what about Ryan and Valerie? Will we see them along with Dustin and the rest of the Red Run crew? So they'll play a part in this book. Like I said, they're not heavily featured here. They are still around. Ryan is still in California right now. He's coming to Emmeline's her Luna ceremony, so they'll be there for that. But like I said, they're more featured in the outline that I have for Emmeline in this reality because Haley just didn't really interact with them much. So, and right now they're in California, so they are going to be there for her Luna ceremony. They're coming. So, the wannabe Connor line ending alphas, were the betas excluded in the OG too? Yeah, Yeah, and that's mentioned. Their betas didn't have anything to do with it. Their alphas kind of like pulled into themselves, and they weren't super close. Kind of as that was explained in this reality. But yeah, their betas had nothing to do with it in the other book too. Why has the amazing Mrs. Blanche not been given a second chance mate? She, Frank got one, and she is so this. So I don't think I've ever said her mate is dead. Have I? Have I said that, or have we just not met him? I don't think I've said that he's dead. Yeah, we just haven't met him. He's not dead. I was like, I didn't think I said that. So that means you really have to come back to this reality and do Emmeline and Lexi's book. I think it does. I really like our core group. I don't know when that will be because I have so many other realities of Haley and Eric to do. But I think, and the kids' books, and we'll just have to see how it all fits together. Because I've thought of many realities, but it would be fun to sprinkle in an Emmeline and Haley's story once we just it's coming ribbon after ribbon after ribbon. So I think it would be fun to sprinkle them in there. But I do plan to circle back. Is the Black Arrow still blonde in the mask in Raised to Cure reality like Haley enchant her mask too? Yes, it always has been. So when Lexi came up with her moniker, Haley and them were all together, and they contributed to what her outfit looks like. We will be here waiting for you. That's great, guys. I'm glad that that you guys like all my outlines and stuff. I thought Mrs. Blanche mentioned something about her daughter's father would have been proud when she got pregnant. I don't know. He's not dead. I'll tell you that. He's around. If I wrote that, it's a mistake, and I'll correct it when I'm editing. But her mate's not dead. So. So Mrs. Blanche's mate is a warrior. So he's usually training during the day. We just haven't met him. So he's not really he's usually off training. So but he's not dead. But yeah, I've just got so many ribbon realities, and then all the kids lend themselves to outline, and then characters that we know and we love, they have outlines too. Will the triplets learn to open a portal at 5 like the full Hakura? Yeah, Titus is going to teach them how to open portals. So he wants to show them how to do that. They'll have lots to learn because they've got multiple sides to them. So they'll learn how to do all that stuff. Demons have different name for chosen mates versus the fated mates. Do any other groups? No, they're the only ones that denote when they have a chosen versus a fated mate. I love Tabitha's story and how she met Harold. I had a crazy thought about the knife that Betty sold her soul for. I wonder, would Tabitha's crazy non-alpha do it instead? So would Al sell his soul? He'd have to meet a demon. He's too selfish. He's too selfish to do something like that. It's a problem with a lot of fairies doing it, is they are too selfish. If he didn't get it explained to him, yeah, he might be dumb enough to do it. But he's not going to factor in the story. He does factor in Harold and Tabitha's outline that I wrote, but he doesn't factor into our main story. Does Mrs. Blanche's cousin that go off and went to the Hakura realm going to be elaborated on? She's mentioned in the later books that she found her mate. In Lexi's book, actually, it's mentioned that one of the reasons Sally is going is to help her out because she's pregnant with her mate's child. How do vampires know their mate? Is there a pull? Yeah, so they get a pull. They have really strong sense of smell, so it's not really a smell to them. They have a pull towards who their mate is, kind of like the strings do. They just have like a moment where everything clicks and like clicks for them. They look into somebody's eyes and they're like, it's you. So that's how it works for vampires. How old are Mrs. Cassandra, Blanche, and Nathan? I got the impression they were in their 50s. They are. Same with Lucas's parents. Lucas's parents are a little younger. But yeah, they're in their 50s. What were the other supernatural's policies on partials before rings? Like Hakira, wait till 16. Seems like wolves wait until 16. What about angels, demons? So, well, for werewolves, they don't know if they're going to have a wolf until they're 16. So that's kind of like why they wait. The Hakira have their own reasons. Angels kind of keep a watch over. Angels are interesting. They don't ever get together with somebody. They're not intending to have children with people that aren't their mate. It happens, obviously. But they don't intend to, so they're not really watching out for them at all. Demons watch out for their partials. The Hood, they only know if somebody tells them, so theirs are kind of harder to watch out for because the person running the shroud just has to know like who's hooking up with who if it's a human, and then you need to like look out and see that kind of stuff. So it's a little harder for them that way. Wolves, it's a bit easier. You might have a 16-year-old like screaming in pain because they're shifting. What is the normal Royal Hakira birthday like? Like Aiden had big bashes, but Haley just had dinners. So Aiden's a fairy. Aiden, the Royal Hakira birthdays, we saw Haley's in this book. She had a really big party. That's what they're all kind of like. They all get a birthday party. Aiden and Arian had big bashes. But when Haley joined her family in the Hakira realm, she didn't want a big party. She doesn't like being the focus of attention. And it was a scary thing for her. Like when she loved the party that Eric threw for her, like as a surprise. But when she was with her Hakira family, she just wasn't ready for things like that. Because it would be kind of triggering to her. Like she always got in trouble if she ate too much. She didn't like people's focus being on her because that always meant that she was going to get hurt for doing something later. So it would have been more, it would have just been really traumatizing for her to have that in the Hakira realm. Obviously with Eric and her family and kind of coming out on the other side of that, she was okay with it then. So that's why she had dinners. But let me know if that answers your question. I feel like I took your question to a whole other place. What other holidays do PAX go all out for? I feel like a PAX would love the 4th, and now with the fairies and the fireworks could be amazing. So yeah, Haley likes fireworks. We haven't really discussed if all the fairies like them, but obviously they would. They're sparkly and shiny and in the sky. They would all like it. I mean, PAX have big stuff for like the 4th, like picnics and stuff. They do things like that. Any holiday that's celebrated in the earthly realm, the PAX celebrate. But yeah. Did that female warrior get her wolf from Lexi's book, the one who was a partial? No, she doesn't have a wolf. So she's just now a pack warrior in Eric's pack. And yeah, but she didn't get her wolf. She just doesn't have one. But she still has like superior senses and stuff like that. And she's obviously a very strong fighter. So she didn't get one when she got her mate. No, she wasn't a partial fairy or anything like that. She's part human. So like Haley points out in Emmeline's book that when a partial fairy gets their mate, then their wolf unlocks, and some other partials do that too. But no, she was just part human and just didn't get a wolf. It doesn't always happen that way, but I really liked her character, and I liked that she was strong enough to take on people with wolves, even though she didn't have one. So it's kind of hit or miss with the human blood that mixes in if they get a wolf or not. In book 2, when they were figuring out what Emmy is, since Lucas and Dylan had met Haley, how do they not make sense? So I've answered this question a couple times. The reason that they didn't know that Emmeline was a fairy, even though they had met Haley, is because Emmeline is more fairy than Haley, but she's not a full fairy. So they've met full-blooded fairies and they've met partial fairies. But Emmeline has more fairy blood in her because of her mom. So that little bit of extra kind of gave them pause, because they hadn't met someone like her with as much fairy blood as she has. So mostly they had met like half. Like somebody has half or a little less, with Haley like gathering people. Emmeline's the only one that has fairy blood from both sides. So that's why they were confused about what she was and thinking she could be something else. Although Dylan was pretty steadfast that she was a fairy, so was Peter. But yeah, that's why they didn't know. And the reason Christy did know is because she's been around a lot more fairies. I guess that's not really implied very well. She was friends with Claudia, and Claudia obviously knew fairies, and she obviously knew Hexus. They knew kind of a little bit what was going on with the partials and them rounding them up, because they met with Hexus every so often. Hexus and Claudia had a relationship. It was mutually beneficial for them, and they had sex when they saw each other. So Christy had been around more fairies, and that's why she knew she was a fairy. She just lied about it. Will anyone who's met a fairy, Hakura, and Wolf be able to sense what Haley and Eric's kids are, or does it have to be an exact mix? So their kids are well known, so people will know that. If there's somebody who doesn't know what their face is and things like that, they might not know exactly what they are. They might be confused. If they're another wolf, they can sense their wolf. So they might just think they're a weird combination, but most people, their family is fairly well known. Any plans for ribbon novel merchandise? So actually, I've been looking into that a little bit, trying to see. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. I've looked at it. I would love that. That would be fun. If you guys are interested in merchandise, it is something that I'm looking into as a future option. So we'll just have to see where everything goes. Amanda's interested. But yeah, it is something that I thought about. I thought it'd be fun to have a Badass Girl Gang t-shirt, some t-shirts with Dylan's sayings, Haley's sayings. So looking into things like that. Yeah, so we've got some exciting stuff coming up. As I said, we're going to see our Raised to Cura Haley go into the ribbon. Really excited about that whole new outline I came up with, because heaven forbid, I just stick with the ones I have and throw that in there. My brain was like, no, this one's super cute. So we're going to see that. Does Judy have a mate? Not yet. Drinking vessels would be good. You mean like a wine glass or like a martini glass? I've thought of a martini glass because that would be funny, because Haley always likes to have one of those. Or yeah, like a tumbler or something. That'd be fun. But yeah, we've got some fun things coming up here in Raised to Cura. Yeah, for merch. Yeah, I got what you were talking about. Yeah, I thought of a martini glass. Strawberry martinis fix everything. Badass Girl Gang, things like that. Do we get to see Danver get his mate and Raised to Cura? I don't know if we'll see that in Haley's book. So that might make more sense in Emmeline's outline. But yeah, exciting things coming up in Raised to Cura. Obviously, we're setting up well, okay, it's obvious to me that we're setting up the what's going to go down with Alania. I need a sweatshirt with Dylan's sayings. Oh gosh, there's so many. You have to pick one. Will we be getting more outtakes on Brianna, or are they eventually getting a story? I do have an outline on Brianna. And yeah, like I know who her mate is. In our original reality, they just haven't met yet. His name was briefly mentioned in one of the books. I'm not going to tell you which one, but his name was briefly mentioned. So we have heard her mate's name. I did go back and look. He has not talked. So that was my big, did he talk or did he not? He did not. He did not talk. We just heard his name. So I do have an outline for her. Don't know when I would get to it, but I do have an outline for her. I really like her character. I need all of them on one sweatshirt. Oh my gosh, that would be such small font. I don't know how that would work. I have been channeling my inner Dylan. I'm sure you have. But yeah, so obviously the big showdown in this book is going to be between Alania's group and kind of what they're setting up and what they're coming for. So I did actually, I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys yet. I actually I've come up with a couple of ribbon strands since I've been writing this book, but one of them that's really intrigued me is I've mentioned a couple times the Goblin's plan with Haley is to capture her and erase her memories, and everyone's mentioned that would be very painful for her. But I thought of a reality where when she runs away, the goblins find her and figure out who she is, and they do erase her memory. And it is a painful process for her, but she knows nothing. So, and they tell her to go kill Aiden. They give her a list of people to kill. And so she pops to Aiden and Foray, and he's a bit distraught because he's been looking for her. But it gives her a pause because she realizes that she's comforted in his presence, and like something in her mind tells her that they're related. So then she ends up not killing him, and she just ends up traveling all over. She just pops over places, and she's running from a few people because Arian and Aiden are trying to track her down, and she just keeps popping away from him. And then when she turns 16, we all know who she's going to be running from then. So that's actually a reality. I really like that outline. I was just so intrigued by the whole thing. And I've been dropping little hints for it in this book since I've thought of it. Like Caleb mentioned, like if her memories did get taken, there could be some things that happen that trigger all her memories to come back, or they might never come back. So really intrigued by that reality and that thought process. After today's outtake, will we get one where Darren meets his mate? I don't have it on my list. We did get one where Darren met Shanna. So I don't have one of him and Amber right now. Must ask the right questions. I am definitely a beta, not an alpha. You do ask the right questions. But yeah, that's one of the realities I thought about. I find it really intriguing. What would the Hakura lose from Haley, like just advanced fighting skills? They could lose the ability to open a portal. They could lose their fighting ability. They could lose that protector side of their blood and just be locked in their realm because they couldn't get out. But yeah, that reality where her memory is taken is a lot of fun because she's like popping around running from her fairy brothers. She might end up in Montana at some point when someone's on vacation. So Eric gets involved and is wondering who Aiden and Arian are chasing. He figures it out. I try to do these without water. It's a bad idea. That's why you guys usually see me sitting here drinking these. But is Megan always Arian's mate? We'll see. We'll see if she is. But in that outline, Eric gets involved because he's in Montana on vacation and smells and senses Haley. But She pops away because she's trying to get away from her brothers, who she doesn't remember. So, then when she turns 16, then the Hakura are trying to track her down. And so she calls them her portal opening stalkers. That's a fun one for me. She's like, oh, my portal opening stalkers, the popping stalkers. She doesn't know she's related to any of them. So that one's fun. And then it's fun how she actually ends up talking to the Hakura, because she knows Bjorn and Marcus's face, because they're the ones coming after her. So it's not them that ends up getting to talk to her first. And that one's a lot of fun. I have finally finished the notes on my phone. There we go. You have good timing. I'm going to have to get off here in a little bit and go get my little man up. But yeah, that reality is fun. Let me see. Let me go through my let me go through all the ones I've thought of lately. Oh, there's another one I thought of that I really like this one too. I like this one too. So I've thought of another ribbon strand where Fabian manages to conceal Haley's sorrow from her brothers, but he does not manage to mute her Hakura connection. So they're kind of concerned about her. They're doing a bit more in depth into trying to figure out what's going on with her, because they can feel she's in pain sometimes. But when she turns 6 and is raped for the first time, they declare war. So because they don't know what's going on, but they know it's not good. And they know that she's in a lot of pain. So they start rounding up fairies, and ends up they have to meet with them. So Aiden reaches out to Titus and demands a meeting, because he doesn't know why they're killing them. They just started rounding up fairies and killing them, and they get word that they've declared war. They just have no idea why. So Aiden reaches out to Titus and asks for a meeting, and Titus agrees, but Arian demands it's in neutral territory. And so Bjorn has heard about Eric, hadn't met him yet at that point because Haley's only 6. So he goes to Eric and asks him to host this meeting. And so Eric agrees because the Hakura is asking for a favor. But he wants to be there with his own people and everything. So he actually he's late because he's dealing with a dispute, but Jackson is there. And Titus demands that Haley is present. They don't know why he demands that, because he doesn't tell them. But he demands that the 3 siblings be present. So they take Haley, and Hexus is there too. He thinks he's hiding, but you can't hide from the Hakura. Let's be real. So he's going to report back to Fabian what she says. Well, the Hakura are enraged because she won't answer their questions. She won't talk to them. So they're really upset. And then when Eric shows up, she's excited, but then she starts crying because she's been told that if she has a mate, they're going to reject her. And so that's the moment that it gets revealed that she's Titus's daughter, because he's like, what is going on? And don't you dare reject my daughter. And Arian and Aiden are like, the heck? So yeah, that's funny. And then Titus ends up telling them, like, I'm taking her with me. Like, you can't have her back. Because she starts talking, but only if she's in Eric's lap, and he calms her down. And so Aiden refuses. He's like, no, you're not taking my little sister. And Arian's like, well, why don't we ask her what she wants to do? And so she says she wants to stay with Eric. It's super cute. And he tells her, he's like, you should go with your dad and let your brothers visit you. So that reality is a fun one. Can you tell us some of the list outtakes coming up for July? So July doesn't have very many outtakes on it. I am going to start contacting people for what they want, probably tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'm still working through June's, but next up we have, we'll be seeing Susie and Sebastian's meeting from Susie's point of view. We have Haley's point of view on her and Emily's shopping trip when they go to Minnesota. This reality's Titus point of view on Haley and Eric meeting. We have Aiden's point of view on finding the orphanage in our original reality. Sophia meeting Teak. Then for July, we've got a heavily anticipated one coming up from Monica and Alania, and what happens with Alania and her death or not death. We'll see. Carrie and Kincaid, when they meet and mark each other. We've got Oscar's backstory coming up, and an outtake of the guys like kind of welcoming Teak into their group. So those are what is coming up for July. So then Patreon, supporting on Patreon, what can we do to help you? You guys help me a lot. I love talking to you guys, and when I was down this week, you guys picked me up. This is currently the way to support me. I will, of course, let you know if other things come up. But right now, that's where it's at. So that's where it's at right now. If I start a merchandise line, I will, of course, let you guys know so that you guys can see if it's anything you're interested in, see if it's anything you want. I have been thinking that this might be the place where, I might post. And again, I don't know when this is going to happen, but in my head, it might be something that starts off with just one t-shirt and have you guys like vote on a poll, like which one you like. So stuff like that. But okay. Okay. Little man is up. So I'm going to go ahead and reach out if I need anything. Thank you very much, Amanda. I will let you guys know. I will let you guys know any exciting new things that are coming up, things like that. I will always make sure to keep you guys in the loop. And if there's something that I need, I will tell you if I need. I got on there because I was really upset about that commenter, and you guys just lifted me up. Like I said, that update happened solely because of you guys. It was not going to be an update day, but you guys and your kind words really brought that around for me, and just got me back into my outline and in the writing mood, because she killed it. I was just not in a place to write, so that's why there actually ended up being a bit more to Haley beating the crap out of Nikki, because I was, getting my frustrations out on Paige at a person that doesn't exist. Well, the person does exist, but on Nikki, who does not. Yeah, Amanda, I agree. But I will let everybody go, and happy 4th. Everybody stay safe and enjoy. So happy Sunday, or if some people, it might be Monday. But happy 4th of July to everybody and those who celebrate. So I will talk to you all again.